Alrighty then. Welcome to round 4 of the Hartford Open. I'm on a horrible score of 0 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. I'm playing up the under 1800 section. By the way, I did the calculations. My average opponent was more than 100 points higher rated than me. All 5 of them were also higher rated than me. So, Sunday rolls around, and finally, after not having any sleep on Friday or Saturday, and when I say any, I mean like 4 hours of sleep, just not very much, I finally get a bit more. I get like 6.5, before Sunday night, and that's enough for me. If I get 6+ hours, I'm actually refreshed, and I can think, my brain works. Less than that, not so much. So that meant I was in good spirits, even though it was a morning game, and it was 10 a.m. They started the round earlier so that people could start the last round earlier at 3:30 so that people could get the hell out of there. Nonetheless, as I'm close to the bottom of the standings, I was paired against Kevin Zimmerman. I was expecting an elderly Jewish man or whatnot, and instead I got an elderly black fella who honestly looked like I'm not even kidding. Like he very Rastafarian. He had like white dreads, and he was calling himself Coach Kev, which I thought was awesome. I found out after the game, he was a nice dude, that he was running the chess store. And after the game result, he tried to sell me some chess products. And he's like, hey, I'm always a businessman. I think he said, I'm always a salesman. So I like that. So it was kind of funny. Like when we did the analysis, he was like showing me some chess bags and stuff. And I'm like, look, I really don't need anything. He's like, a man's got to try. So he had that salesman attitude to him for sure. This was another opponent. I mentioned that 3 of the 5 opponents showed up late. He showed up like 15 minutes late, so I got a time advantage. But it's funny, although 3 of my opponents showed up late, I found myself mostly using more time than my opponents. Maybe that was a byproduct of being tired or sleepy or something like that, but I was the one who was actually utilizing a little bit more of my clock in this tournament anyway. My goal entering the day was pretty clear. If I could win both games, I would salvage the tournament. I would have an even score, and given everyone was higher rated than me, I would even earn some rating points. If I lost this game, or drew maybe, I told my friend Ryan that I was staying at the, we were sharing the room or whatnot. I told him that if I didn't do well in this game, I might leave early because there was a big storm brewing. In fact, still is, like a torrential downpour in the northeast. That I just wanted to get home, besides which I generally work on Sunday nights. So I didn't want to wait for the last game. So depending on how this game went, I was going to gut check to see if I was going to withdraw from the tournament or play out the last round. I don't want to spoil that because if I lost this, I probably wasn't going to play. And well, there's 5 games in the series, so let's just say I didn't lose. But it doesn't mean I won. I may have drawn, which may have given me incentive or urge to kind of play the last one to salvage the rating as well. Anyway, let's not get into any of the differences. The only thing I will say about my opponent here as well is that, what else can I say about my opponent? I don't think there's anything else I really can say about my opponent. We went over the game a little bit, but he was kind of getting up, trying to sell things to people, kind of in the chess room. So the analysis wasn't the best, but it did seem like he was not familiar with the position, and I think some of his ideas were... some of them were not so sharp, but he did have an attacking mindset, so we'll get into that. So that made it a little bit interesting. All right, this also might be a shorter recap. I never want to, give the thumbs up or thumbs down of when a game is easier or harder, but I did finally get rewarded, and I was telling Ryan, again, that after this game, I was finally happy because, not that, at this level, in like the 1500s, basically, you expect people to make mistakes, like, frequently. And my opponents, especially, seem to be coming up with like the best moves generally, and it's kind of a bummer. This guy messed up in the opening, and it was very punishing. So we'll see it. And again, this might be a shorter recap, so maybe those of you that are just kind of tuning on in, maybe I'll add my chess philosophy about blitz converting to classical. That's something I keep wanting to do in these videos. I'm going to tack it into one of these. My cat Belle is right next to me on my computer tower. She's so cute. Kind of listening on it. So here we go. So he opens with e4. I keep playing my pet line, the Perk Maroxy defense. If you look at my spreadsheet, e4 has been played against me the last like 8 blacks. By the way, I have gotten black like 8 of the last 10 times. I was 3 blacks in this tournament, only 2 whites. So definitely the stats are now skewed where I've played considerable amount more black games. It's supposed to be 50-50. And again, it's only annoying because according to my performance rating, I'm like 100 points stronger as white. So, whatever. And I do care about winning, obviously. I would much rather win than lose. Or win than draw. Anyway, the truth is this opening really has been working for me. Both the first two games is black against Matt and then Jithia. I actually did get very strong positions. Against Matt, I butchered it with the Botez Gambit. Should have won that game. Against Jithia, that tactic failed me. But it was an interesting game, and I probably should have done a little better if I was a little bit fresher. So I can't blame the opening. I mean, the truth is, I know this opening well. People have been kind of unfamiliar, and I've been getting good results. So I certainly shouldn't change anything. All right. Anyway, he plays d4. Let's be honest, this is like the most common move ordering. It's what people have normally been playing. And we're entering my wheelhouse, which is great. I hit him with the e5. These moves at this point you all have probably seen. If you are, a regular watcher, if you're new to the videos for whatever reason, again, these videos get off like 30 or 40 views. Then walla bing, walla bang, welcome, welcome. My mouse is a little bit gross. I'm looking at it, and I probably need to clean that later. All right, I'm not going to clean it now. It'll involve a little bit of the air spray, and I don't think I'm going to do that while recording. For all of your ears' benefit. Anyway, this is known as the Moroxy defense. If you are new, I play this a lot. I started picking it up, and I like these positions. Oftentimes, you get this queenless middle game, and that's where I think I really shine. I think that's where I'm at my strongest. So I decided to play positions where I'm strongest. Anyway, Kevin plays c3, which is interesting because I had not been familiar with this move. It's not that good of a move. It's not a very common move either. c3 is not, I guess it's on the, that's funny, it's on the candidate move list as like one of the top moves. In the top 5 at least. I mean, now it's down to 5th. There's a few bunch. I mean, largely people develop their knights or take the pawn. That's basically what you're used to. Or, of course, pushing the pawn. And I'm used to those moves. I was not used to c3 until last week, if you all remember, when I played Mike Brown, and he played this move against me. And I ended up doing, if I remember, he did like an h3 move as well. Oh, no. I did an a3 move, which wasn't appropriate. When I looked at it, my own opening, the idea is to take away like this kind of check, or pin. If I was to develop the knight, it takes that away so that he doesn't have d5, and that's the idea behind a6. But it's not right. And because I looked at this against Mike Brown, I knew actually I'm supposed to trade right away and give them the 2 pawns. So I'm learning, and it makes me feel good. Is when I get repeating positions and I kind of make the less accurate move in an earlier incarnation, I remember it for the future. So I remembered that in the computer line that it should go e takes d, which is great. And so I played it right away. My opponent Kevin was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm supposed to take back. And he goes c takes d4, and we've arrived at this position. Now, I unfortunately didn't remember that you're supposed to go d5 here. I'll show you. I played knight f6, which is not accurate. It's not like bad. It's one of the moves, and the idea is I remembered. And let's say he plays, I don't know, knight c3 or something. The idea is that you do want to play a d5. I guess not here. What am I doing? Right. All right. The idea is you play d5 here, and I did look at this against against Kevin, Mike Brown. Why am I calling him Kevin? Oh, because it's Kevin Zimmerman against Mike. And the idea here is if he pushes something like e5, then we sort of transpose almost in a French style, where we basically hit him with the c5, and I have a lot of comfort in this position as well. We're breaking up the center. He doesn't have a pawn to reinforce, and if he chops, for example, then I just get my bishop out, and black is better. And I like this position a lot. And obviously, if he takes the pawn, well, I got a couple options. And I remember you're not actually supposed to take queen white away. Queen white away is fine, but you can actually play knight f6 first, continuing to pressure these double pawns, and they will fall, at a pretty reasonable clip. Hard to argue with that. Anyway, and so I kind of forgot that, so I just played knight f6. So I should have remembered that d5 is the move. And I did remember it after knight f6. However, he shocks me by playing d5 himself. And it's kind of a tricky move. So first off, when he plays it, I then realize, oh shit, I was supposed to play d5 last move. So I do realize that. And then I think, okay, I'm attacking this pawn. Am I actually attacking it? And I'm not playing blitz. I'm not blitzing it out. I then immediately see, these kind of little cheese or tricks I'm not going to fall for. I say, oh, right, that doesn't work, because then he goes queen check. I block, and then boom, he would win my knight, and I would have a brutal game. So I didn't want to fall victim to the classic opening. So I'm like, all right, this pawn's not actually under threat, under siege. So I think of my move options, and I say to myself, all right, one option is to play the bishop to d7, kind of develop it there, because then I actually am threatening this pawn. But I thought after f3, he has a really strong pawn chain. I kind of wanted to start chipping away, which might still be fine, honestly. But I didn't really think I'd be attacking that. But I'm also not that close to castling. I also know in a lot of positions I kind of want my bishop on e7. It's like the classic kind of Philidor style. And I didn't think with this pawn on d5 locking down these squares that really changed anything. So I just kind of shrugged. The computer does like g6 immediately, and I guess they want to fianchetto. That's kind of what they want to use. I think that's interesting. So maybe that would have been a little bit better. They also like developing the knight b to d7, and I guess that way you're taking away, or you're putting more pressure on e5 square. But I'm not sure that's so good. I prefer my move, to be honest. All right. Without overthinking it, I then give up the idea of trying to win this pawn with any kind of cheese from his queen. I just develop bishop e7, and life goes on. And I realized from the opening, because I didn't play d5 myself, that I probably haven't neutralized yet, equalized, and I was a little upset at myself because I literally had just looked at this last week, in the video. It's good to learn, but it's better to put your learning into practice. My man Kevin, Coach Kev is how he was referring to himself, to knight c3. And I thought that was fine. It's a natural development move. He's now supporting the e4 pawn, which is good for him. But I've cleared the way to castle. I don't really see anything stopping that. I kind of shrug and I say, all right, it's time to castle. And now this is playing very much into that Philidor style. This is what the Maroczy defense leads to a lot. And I know all these positions are fine. They're not the most exciting. Some people would say they're kind of drier, but it's my style. I would rather have this kind of game. I appreciate and enjoy this. All right. Kevin now plays bishop to e2. He's trying to get his pieces involved, and it makes sense. It's a natural developing move. Computer really likes it. He probably wants to play the knight here and then castle himself. And I think, that's fine. I'm like, all right, maybe I'm not going to have a massive opening win, but, I messed up a little bit, but I still think it's pretty good. And I analyze this position, and I don't really see a great place for my bishop. The beauty of his move there is he's taking away me moving bishop to g4, which, supported by the knight, would immediately put, power presence on the queen, which might induce an early f3, or he'd self-pin his knight. Again, those aren't great ideas for black. Obviously, I can put him to d7, but I thought my knight might belong there because, again, this pawn's big, taking away that square. I didn't think the idea of a b6 with the idea of fianchettoing was accurate. So I thought of all the moves I could make, and I played the best move, which is great. It always feels good when you make the best move. Excuse me, they're equal. I then say, all right, I have the idea with a c6 break, and I just play it. And the reason why, once again, is all these other moves with minor pieces don't make sense. If he takes, I can then get my horsey into the game with tempo, and it also would break up a center. And if he doesn't take, then maybe I'm threatening to take in some lines, and I've opened up, again, lines for my queen. So I thought that this was fine. It kind of solved the matter. If he just takes, the turn off to develop his knight, which is what the computer says he ought to do, then again, I can just start trading, things like that. And I thought I was fine in the middle of the board, and I've kind of achieved more or less what I'm aiming to achieve in the opening. I didn't fall victim to any trap. Kind of gave myself a chance to get the pawns out. I have a general idea. My king is safe. All right, hard to argue with that too strenuously. However, Kevin blunders, and it doesn't seem like a blunder on first glance for most people, but this is absolutely a blunder. He plays bishop g5, which kind of looks like a pin, but in this Philidor system, and this is what I had mentioned, I think in game 1, I told you guys that this would come up. I've seen this pattern a lot, and although I didn't blitz it back, we have an hour and a lot of time, I knew that I was going to play knight takes e4, but I had to make all the other calculations to make sure it's good. And the reason why is, yes, you are gunning for a pawn, but then it opens up on his bishop. And if he takes with the knight, we can take his bishop. We can take with the knight. We can take with the queen. And after all that consolidation, black is just better. Black is up a clear pawn, and there's nothing to show for it for white. This is just a really bad move. It's not the most obvious bad move because when I play it, computer rewards this a brilliant, which always makes me feel great. The computer's best response here is actually to just make those trades, basically boom, boom, boom. And he doesn't do that as well. He picks a slightly more suboptimal line, which is rather than trading the knights, and again, I'm already threatening to also mess up his pawn structure and get activity on the e-file where he hasn't castled. So this is already quite bad for white. He trades, bishop takes, and I've got two options here. And I'm glad I chose the right one. For the record, I choose the better option. I take back with the queen. Not only my up a pawn, but my position is just better. So apparently the computer, it's already like 1 point. It's already more than 1.5 pawns. The other line I'm calculating, I'm sure you could see it, is knight takes here with the idea of knight takes knight, bishop takes queen, knight takes knight, etc. However, I didn't think this worked that well because I saw some lines where my knight might get trapped on this side and his bishop runs free. So if you're following this line at home or kind of seeing what I saw, the only calculation I made is I looked at this and then I thought he was actually getting out or attacking my rook with e7. Obviously, I would then play e8, rook e8, that is. And he develops his rook to a good square. d1, he's now threatened to take and then take again. I would, of course, take his bishop. And yeah, after all of these trades are made, I thought that this wasn't as good for me. I thought that he would crash through. Yeah, it's equal. Anyway, so if you look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, he's actually winning the pawn back. Black is still better here because all my pieces are out and he cannot castle. He's kind of stranded. So again, after a move like bishop e6, which I would probably play, immediately attacking the pawn, making sure I don't get like back rake mated, and giving me the active idea of doubling up my my rooks. Black is still clearly better, but I didn't like this as much as this, which is, you know, I made the right decision. So sometimes I make the right decision, sometimes I make it for the wrong reasons, sometimes I make it for the right reasons. And I feel like in this situation, I made it for the right reasons. So that's cool, you know? That is cool. All right, nonetheless, again, after he blundered in the opening, and Kevin, like, again, when we went over the game, I said, that's just a blunder in the opening. He's like, no, I accomplished something with that pawn. And, like, I'm like, I don't see it. So, again, sometimes the analysis, like, it was just he blundered. It's a bad move. He should not have played the bishop out here. He needed to just get the knight out, look to castle, and, you know, just accept that there was nothing going on for white in the opening. All right. With that in mind, after we make those minor trades, I thought that he needed to just trade knights, and then I would take back the very centralized queen. I thought it was bad for white. Again, that's why I wanted my queen here, so I'd have like the centralized. But I think he makes it even a little bit worse on himself. He plays queen to b3. And the reason this is pretty bad is he's not really attacking b7. I have two defenders of it. He's not really supporting this pawn for the most part. The reason why is if he's trying not to mess up his pawn structure, then I saw, oh, I can go knight takes, and if he goes queen takes to kind of maintain the connected pawns, I can actually take a secondary pawn, and I think it actually becomes decent because I'm going to be able to support it and use it as like outpost and whatnot. So that's what I saw. And if he takes with the pawn, then he's immediately chopped up, and again, his position is more Swiss cheesy, where he's at least 2 turns away from castling, which is not good for white. According to the computer, developing the rook is better. I will do that very, very soon, for the record. But I thought the more accurate line was trading just to potentially mess up his pawn some more and allow him to make another mistake, basically. Which I don't know if that was correct. Correctamundo. So I do play knight takes. It looks like knight takes is very, very close. Also, just developing the knight out seems decent as well. All right, whatever. Not gonna spill too much milk, spill too much tea over all of that going on. 20 minutes. Let's aim for a quicker recap, everybody. What do y'all say about that? So so after knight takes, he has 2 options. One is clearly better. He should take with the queen and just give me the second pawn. Again, he's already losing a lot of pawns. He decides to maintain his pawn and take with the maintain his D pawn and take with the B pawn. And now his position, he's like so open on the queen side. He is not that close to castling, and I just think his position's already pretty busted. So yeah, this is what I mean. Like, this one was the easiest game of the tournament I had. So let's just see how I converted it, right? Like, every so often. In this spot, I have a few candidate moves. I do consider sliding my rook, and that way it means he can never develop his knight, because then we'd be threatening checkmate on e2. He'd have to like slowly like move his queen back to support it, or like move up. Like, he's just already in such a box. And the other idea I have, I mean, these are the two best moves. We're both. Oh, it's funny. I was considering moving the knight as well because I really wanted to land it on e5. Obviously, it's a great outpost. It immediately attack the queen, possibly give me some tactics of jumping to d3 because obviously this bishop is pinned, so it'd be safe there. Thinking that he might have to like move in, and then maybe I have some backrank stuff. Again, if I move my queen to e5, I was also considering centralizing my queen immediately. In long term attacking his rook. But I thought that he wanted to go to rook d1 anyway, so I didn't like centralizing it there. So I kind of narrowed it down to either moving my rook over or playing a knight move. At first, I wanted to play knight a6 because it's clever, and I thought that way it wouldn't block in my light square bishop. But I thought that where I wanted to go, I can, again, to the c5 square. Moving my knight to d7 can always do that. And I thought that there might be some lines where I'd rather have the knight on e5, and the only way to accomplish that is to move it to d7. So by process of elimination, I play knight d7. Again, I thought that was a bit more accurate, if you will. Kevin now plays c4. He's trying to have like some kind of grip in the center. But again, these are like not the most accurate moves. It does nothing to stop my idea. Computer actually prefers if I take first, takes, and then play this move. Maybe that's better because it opens up another path for my bishop where I'd be able to make bishop d7. That wouldn't hang the pawn because in that line the knight is on c5 and then it's defending, with the idea of being able to like bring it out in some cases. So I see that and oh no, now the computer's changed its mind. I ended up playing okay, either one's fine. I wasn't sure if I should take first, but I just played knight c5 because it just seemed like such a natural move to me. Of course it was the best line, and the computer just assigns it a good. Screw you, computer. I can't stand their analyses. Nonetheless, I'm already up. If you look at material, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm up a pawn. Maybe you're going to win another one. But the reason the position's so dominant, it's plus 3.3 or so, is my pieces are mostly out. I'm almost completely developed. His king is in the middle of the board, and he has real problems developing his knight. Plus, his bishop is potentially pinned, and if I slide over, which I will next move, a lot of his pieces are under attack. And immediately his queen is running. I mean, this is moving my knight with tempo, so he's not even going to get any closer to developing his pieces. Like, piece activity is really, really big deal. You could even give him another pawn and subtract a pawn from me, and I still would think black is better. So that's, it's a dominant position just a few moves into the game. At this point, and we had not been playing for that long, at this point already, I don't want to say I was pretty sure I was going to win. That's way too premature in any classical game. But at this point, I was already feeling like, that way. Like, all right, let's just end the game. The longer you let a game go on, the bigger chance you have of making a blunder, is what I've learned. Anyway, because I'm attacking his queen, he's got to move it. All his best moves are queen moves. Funny enough, I did think queen d1 was his best move when I was calculating myself about where he should move it. And the reason why is it kind of gives him, if I trade, he can then re-centralize the queen, protect with the idea of doubling up with the other rook. It gives him some sense of activity. Furthermore, it supports the bishop, meaning he'd be able to finally develop the knight. So that is why I thought that queen d1 was better. But he doesn't do that. He plays a move that's close to it, and it kind of accomplishes similar goals, which is spying the d5 pawn, protecting the bishop here as well. So it's very similar, and I think it's fine. In fact, when he played this, I have a tendency of being a little surprised by what my opponents play, but I wasn't that surprised. Nonetheless, in this position, I thought my goal was really simple. Now I can double up and continue preventing him from moving this knight, probably, because again he can never castle there, else he loses pieces. So I just play rook e8. I think that's a pretty simple idea and pretty solid. I also didn't want to. Okay, in this position, the other move I was thinking about was queen e5, which is the third best move. And the reason why is it centralizes the queen, which is great, and it immediately attacks the rook. But I thought he was always moving rook to d1, and I thought that was a good square for his rook anyway. And I didn't know what this immediately contributed, so that's why I thought it was more accurate to move the rook first, and then look for centralizing queen moves. All right. In any event, he now plays rook d1 anyway, and I realized that there was no way for me to really stop that move from happening. He was going to slam this in. I thought it was a good move. And now I have a bunch of options. I realized that I don't really want to take yet and have him just retake and kind of like, then this pawn actually becomes pretty decent about restricting my bishop. So I kind of want to leave the tension. I obviously can't develop my bishop here. I can't develop it here. I can't develop it here. Can develop it here. I thought going something like b6 was an option. I was also looking at b5, basically attacking both pawns, with the idea if he takes, then I would like take, and then if he ever takes with either the queen or the rook, then I have this trap of playing bishop b7, because it's supported by the knight, and it would be some kind of skewer, or I just flatly win his rook. So I kind of was looking at that long diagonal, and I kind of wanted to play b5 in this position. But I then decided that I have a simpler idea. Let's just develop my bishop over here. It turns out it's the best computer move as well. With the idea, of course, if he ever takes, then I'm going to slam it onto c6, and it's just a huge bishop. So he really can't take. It's simple. And I'm going to have enough time to basically get my other rook into the game somewhere. Wasn't sure which square. All right, that was my long-winded explanation for probably a simple move. Kevin plays rook d2. He's still looking to support his bishop because his pieces are really kind of tied down. He does not have a lot of moves. This is doing a lot of work. His king is very unsafe. And I look at this. I figure I could make a proactive move. For example, takes is okay. Kind of forces him to take with a pawn. Because if he takes with either the other piece, then I just slam the bishop on c6. And it is the best move. I'm still considering b5. And I am looking at all these moves, like, knight e4 kind of jumps. I wasn't sure what my follow-up was supposed to be there. If he moves it. Like, what is my follow-up? Oh, they just are taking the pawn after you move it there, because it blocks his queen from capturing, I guess. But I don't mind if his queen captures, so, yeah, I don't know. All right, well, whatever. I end up playing, I then look at my position. I think it's huge. I see that he's, like, still tied down. I wasn't sure what he was going to do about it. So I figure, all right, let's just stick to the max zone. Like, the game is going great. I'm kind of crushing him. The game is already feeling very solid, if not over. So I decide to just get my last piece in the game. Again, I thought that it made sense on d8, because if he opens up with takes, or if I take, if he bears down on my d6 pawn, it would be nice to be able to move my queen and have a rook behind it. That's basically it. It looks like the more active square, and I get it, is rook a to c8, with the idea of now I can take, and if he ever takes, I get this huge open file. So I see why that's a better move, and I should have played that. Instead, I play rook a d8, a little more passive, definitely inaccurate, and I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but it was not the best move. To my surprise, this is the best move as well. Kevin finally gets his last minor piece into the game. He plays knight h3, which is not where you want it. And immediately I start thinking of like different ideas where I'd like be able to rip open his position even more. Just a very unsafe king. Don't want to do that now because then he would actually just take with the queen, I think. Plus, I think that this bishop is potentially much better than that knight. But when you're up material, and I am, it's okay to trade as well. So I was considering that. I was still looking at all these knight moves. And then I just decide, you know what? Let's just trade. And my thinking was, his king is still in the middle of the board. If I take and then he takes, I potentially have bishop b5 ideas. Because remember, his bishop is pinned to his king. So I get another attacker into the game. And once I get that attacker into the game, and now I see why the rook on c8 it would be so much better. Because in that line, there's no pawns here. Boom, we get our final piece in and looking for a checkmate. So I figure I would go c takes d5, thinking that he would recapture, And again, then I would swing the bishop. And I thought that was all very, very standard, very solid. They actually like the knight jump better, but that's not what happens. Kevin Zimmerman sacks another pawn. I mean, the first time it was a blunder of a pawn, but this was a clear sack. This was him giving me a pawn so that he could castle. And what's funny is I wasn't really thinking about this. I thought I maintained his king on the board by trading, but I applauded it. I lauded him after the game. I said, yeah, that was actually a really good decision. Like, that was a good move. Is he just castles? And it makes sense. He's giving me another pawn. I'm just up a lot of pawns. But now his king is finally safe. He's going to have somewhat of an attack by jumping his knight in. And although black is, like, clearly better, it's a bunch of pawns, and, like, anything could happen. So I thought from a practical perspective, I mean, computer-wise, it's the best line as well. But practically speaking, I really liked what he had done. And I got a little upset at myself, basically, because I thought that maybe there would have been better ways to kind of keep his king in the middle of the board. And I failed at doing that. I was a little too cavalier. Turns out my moves are still very good, so there was nothing wrong with just grabbing the material. But but it was interesting for me. Anyway, I look at this position. I'm still looking at all these knight jumps. I think that they're a little less good, given I'm not like attacking his king. And I decide just to take the pawn. And the reason why is this still opens the door for me swinging my bishop to c6, which is exactly where I want it. It's even stronger now because it has like a potentially setting up a mate. My b7 pawn is not hanging because my knight is doing a huge job. It's a huge knight. There's no pawns here. It can never be dislodged, and there's no dark square bishop. I figure this is just a super powerful knight. And, anything else about this position? I just assumed his natural move is just, bishop takes, and if you would look at the count there, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd be up a pawn, just one. No, excuse me, I'd be up 2 pawns. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was like, wait a second. I'd be up 2 pawns where all my pieces are developed. I've got the rooks in the center of the board, and I'd have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bishop and a very strong knight. So my mana pieces would be very strong. I'd already have the double stack. I would basically just look for king safety, probably play h6 to kind of take away the knight g5 jump. And then I would look to like triple stack or something. And I thought that was... my pieces would be in harmony. They'd be exactly where I want them. So I like that. To my shock, he sacrifices another pawn. He does not recapture. And this is what I mean. I really was not... he had like attacking instincts. And I was not expecting it. And actually caused a bit of trouble. Now, when he plays knight f4, you have to understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to bring his pieces into some kind of attack to pressure my king, obviously. Now, he's a couple turns away. It's a little bit slow. But the idea is when I play bishop c6, which is the best move, and it just seems incredible, he's going to be able to move his king to a more proactive square anyway. And I'm in a bit of trouble. I think actually he would move it to g4, so he's still defending his... he doesn't need to directly defend his bishop, because he has his knight here and his rook. I don't think that long in this position. I do play bishop c6, but as soon as I played this move, and I know, like, again, when I'm playing, I know I'm winning, if not won, but as soon as I play this, I see that he has a very clever move of self-pin of knight d5, which is one of the candidate moves up there. It's not the better move, but I did think it was better, and I realized that I might have to actually trade these pieces off if he plays knight d5. According to the computer, I'll show you what I saw. Here, he played, in this position, 18. I'm obviously attacking his queen. He just goes to g4, which is the best move. He maintains his queen on the board. He's maintaining the defense of the e2 bishop. And he's setting up some kind of attack with knight knight h5. So I that was pretty good for him. And this is the first, like, in the game, I did actually a deep thought in this spot. I finally used some time. It was time to use some time. However, I did think that knight d5 was stronger, and the reason why, the computer now says knight d5 is best. I did think this was stronger because I didn't see. I did see this follow up with queen to g5 because then I'd be attacking both the rook as well as his knight. But I thought that this would lead him very naturally to just get his last piece into the game. Rook fd1, which is the best move, and I saw this, and I wasn't actually sure what was happening, to be honest. I thought that, yes, he's pinned, but it's not clear I can really make use of it. His pieces are kind of backed up, but maybe he can then untether hitting me with the finally bishop takes on c4, which is pretty strong. Yeah, I'm not sure. I wasn't sure how to proceed. They want c3. Basically, it looks like a pawn sacrifice, but not really, because I'm attacking this bishop. If he moves the knight, he loses the queen. And if he moves the bishop, hold on, because I was always looking at c3 ideas. Why can he not take this with the... No, taking the queen is the best move. All right, cool. Oh, and the reason why it's actually good for me is immediately I fork him, family fork. Okay, I see. Okay, so this is somewhat complicated, but at the end of all the trades, if you look at the material and what ends up happening, lo and behold, I'm up the exchange, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a bunch of pawns. Obviously, this is just totally one. Okay, I obviously didn't calculate or see all of that at all, but that is one thing I was looking at. I actually thought if you played knight d5, although I did have this outside move, I thought I just needed to trade the bishop takes the knight, because the knight's jumping around. It's like his only active piece. Let's say he goes queen takes. I thought this was fine, because here I did see b5, with the idea, of course, that I have these really strong connected pawns. Yes, my d pawn is a little bit out of play, but it's still guarded, and if I can ever get it rolling, then the game is over. And this is the position I saw, and I thought this was fine for me, and it's what I thought he should go into. But he didn't. He plays queen g4, which is also excellent. So I started thinking to myself, I did a deep think here. It's the only spot I figured I'd do some time. Because he wants to play knight to h5, and it's a simple threat, but it's not the easiest move for me to stop. I can't move my queen to f6, because then I would lose it to the knight. I could maybe move it to e5, centralize my queen, protecting the checkmate. Or I could do a very passive queen f8, which does lock things up, but it makes my queen not very active, not very good. So I didn't really want to do that. Also, if I move it to e5, I thought that there might be some lines, not here, because he would end up losing a lot of material, but where he plays f4, forcing me off of this square. However, even if after I check, and then he moves, I might be in a lot of trouble. I saw that maybe I would play g6, but then I give him this fork, he jumps to f6, and then he wins my rook. And I thought white was actually getting a lot of play, like a lot of play. Again, my mental state was, I thought I had won the game. I really do want to play c3, but I thought against knight h5, I was actually in a lot of trouble. So I tanked for a long time, and I decided to repeat the position once. Now, I'm never going for a draw. I'm super winning. But I play back. I play bishop to d7. And it looks kind of funny, because I tanked for a while, not sure, what my best move was. I'm attacking his queen again. I'm kind of, maintaining. And he should have just gone back, I think, to f3. Instead, he plays what the computer thinks is a better move. I don't think it's a better move. I thought this was a grievous mistake, and he plays queen h5. The reason why I think this is a mistake is now I have a very obvious answer. First off, I can centralize my queen, threaten to trade queens. But moreover, if I was to go back, which I'm considering, he is too slow to move his knight to h5 to set up that checkmate. And with only those two pieces swimming around my king, I'm very, very safe. So I guess my move here and then my move back served me well, because I think he may, even though the computer doesn't think it's worse, as a human, I did. Because I thought this gave me a very easy answer. Because I was a little bit worried about his potential, like his Hail Mary attack. And now when he's moved his queen to h5, he can't put his knight there, so it's not really working anymore. And that was what I thought. That's how I thought of it. So, yeah. Anyway, he plays queen h5, and I'm torn between slamming my bishop back, and again, he'd be too slow, or just playing the very simple move of forcing a trade, or so I thought, forcing a trade of queen e5. So I play queen e5, and I thought my position has improved. I've centralized my queen. If he ever trades, then I would take with the pawn for sure, and his knight would immediately be under attack. And honestly, I would probably even be able to save this pawn with either c3 or b5. And I thought once in this position, again, I did the deep thought like 2 moves ago, where I moved back to d7. So I did the deep thought, like here about how to proceed, and then I, decided to just make the retreating move. And then once he responded by putting the queen there, I knew I was going to win the game from this spot, is like how I can say it. It's kind of funny. A lot of times in classical, you're kind of nervous or like trying to find the win or finishing up the games. And a lot of times, even if you're like the computer says you're winning, it doesn't feel like that over the board. It's just the way chess is. But for me at this position, I did know that I had won the game. Like I was like, okay, this should be routine now. I didn't think there was any chance of complication. I play queen up. His best move, according to the computer, is probably trading. But for him to have any chance of drawing or holding, he needs to keep queens on. So it kind of forces him in this case to play like worse moves. He goes back, queen f3, and and now everything makes sense because he's too slow. With my plan now of moving bishop c6, and I made the joke to him. I moved the bishop c6 and d7 like back and forth a bunch of times, but each time I seesawed, it felt like I did something. You know what I mean? And the computer agrees. This is the best line. I go back bishop c6 because once again I'm not only eyeing his queen, but I'm setting up potential mates on that. I'm controlling this very dirty diagonal, I felt great at this point. He plays queen to g4. It doesn't, it's not like there's like anything wrong with it, again, it's just a matter of time before I infiltrate completely. This now is too slow. My queen is already in the proper square centralized defending this, so I don't need to waste a move to defend a potential mate. So I thought I bought myself a free turn, and I looked at my position, and I thought, all right, I have one weakness. It's that my c4 pawn is under attack. I could push it, but I didn't see the necessarily immediate follow-up. Again, if he just like blockades it or whatnot. I thought instead, I also have this weakness of d6. It's a backwards pawn. I would love to get it rolling down the board. And so I thought it accomplished 2 things. Number one, it made that it would mean that it would be defended by my bishop, which is great. I'm not really threatening a checkmate, at least not for a little while. Moreover, it would be firming up my c4 pawn. So I roll forward with d5. Computer does like the move a lot. They think e4 is slightly better. I was always looking if he misplaced his queen, by the way, for the knight forks. I was always looking at them, depending on when I kept checking his queen, thinking that he might make a mistake, like putting it on g3, and then boom, you nail the knight to e4, and you would end up forking both the rook and the queen. In any event, move 22. But I found d5. I do think d5 is really, really strong. Funny enough, the computer still thinks kind of going back and forth with the bishop is really good. I don't do that again. And I play d5. Once I get this pawn rolling again, I just think, I feel like I could beat most people in this position. Like most people. He goes with his plan, the only idea he really has, and again, I'm telling you, it just doesn't work here anymore. Like, I'm not afraid of it anymore, because with knight h4, my queen's already centralized. I'm already defending the, not the queening square, but the mate square. So I have time to do anything. And I actually think I pick a suboptimal line. Like, I think my accuracy isn't perfect here, because I give him, like, a sort of trick. I don't even think it's much of a trick in this position. The computer still wants knight e4, which I'm considering. Or they like g6. So I didn't want to weaken my king and give him potential forks, even though right now it's defended. Well, it's by my queen. But I was considering moving a pawn around my king. Okay, my move is third best. Cool. And it's very, very close. I decide, they want to move the d6. Oh, I should have moved that one instead. Yeah, that would have been better. I see why that's so much better. Because I wanted to connect. Okay. I made a slight mistake here. I think I wasn't thinking too much time. I played rook e6. I should have played rook d6, actually. And yeah, this is clearly an accuracy. My idea was the rook lift to once again settle it on g6. Then I'd never have to worry here. I'd be attacking his queen. And moreover, I'd have the d4 idea of, like, again, slamming everything onto g2. This is a slight inaccuracy because I didn't realize this tactic till after. Because he can still win this pawn. Because if I ever take, I'm in trouble. He just wins my rook. I'd have to then reblock. Trade, and black would still be better, but it would not be. But it it would be a mistake. He misses it. He doesn't see the tactic. It's not like it's like again winning for him. Black is still winning in that line, but that was clearly an error, and he lashes out with f4. His only idea in this position, is to chase my queen away and try to checkmate. I'm obviously never going to fall for that. I can't go here. It would get killed. I could go here, but I have a more important move, which is the check on e3. He has to move his king, and that buys me time to secure my rook on over, which again is what I had seen. For the record, though, just to show everybody, because I think this game is not going to be... it's still 45 minutes, is if he takes, bishop takes. Obviously, I wouldn't sacrifice my rook for a bishop. I don't think I'd do that. I would have just ignored it, and this is what I mean. If I land rook g6, and he has to again like retreat his king to, his queen to like h3 or so. Yes, he won back a pawn, but this just felt very, very winning to me. In fact, it's funny. The computer recommends just playing rook h6, and the idea is all these pieces are ganging up on his knight. Wow, they're even suggesting, look at what moves they're suggesting, like knight e2. Well, actually, that's not a bad move, because now it's defending his knight. Huh. I think I would play... no, I don't think I would, because if I go there, he has this check, I take, and then he takes, and it's anything but easy. They want me to just play d4. All right, maybe it gets a little bit hairy here, so, but who knows if I would have played rook h6. I don't think I would have. Honestly, in this position, I think I would have just played the queen to g5, attacking the rook and putting more pressure on the mating square. They don't love that because f4 is good here. Interesting. Huh. And then the idea for black is to retreat to e7 and then infiltrating. Okay. All right. Whatever. Chess is interesting. There definitely would have been some resources for white from these positions. I can't say I played the most accurate moves, but once my man, Coach Kev, plays f4, I see the easy continuation. I play queen e3 check. Obviously, this rook is hanging, but if I take it, I will get checkmated. So let's not do that. He moves king h1, so he gets out of check. And I first play the very, very important rook to g6. And now is where black is 100% winning, because not only his queen under attack, so is his rook. His rook is unguarded. He is going to lose more material. And there's really nothing he can do. I thought my opponent should have resigned in this position. Like, I really don't get the sadism that people experience in completely lost positions. I think before this move, he had some tricks. He had some ways of defending better. Totally get it. Playing on, totally. He has like some vague checkmate threat that's worth at least trying for. But once this position is reached, like, give me a break. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Anyway, with rook g6, he pretty much has to move his queen, or he loses it. Use it or lose it. He plays queen f5. Doesn't do anything. His rook is hanging. I think to myself, am I supposed to just take the rook? And I say, yeah, probably. I take the rook. I fully expected him, after queen takes rook, him to resign, but he didn't. It is what it is. He then, and I'm going to cycle through the final few moves pretty quickly, because I found all the tactical ideas. I played the best moves, which makes me pretty happy. As soon as he plays this, I look at it and I see another tactic. Oh, if I take, I'm removing the defender from his bishop, and I would, not only be doing that, I'd have potential mate threats. Easy. I immediately took rook takes on g3. It's a free piece. His best move. Nice. He plays, after rook takes, he plays bishop f3. What's funny about this is I'm pretty sure I can just take that piece too. It's the second best move. And so I just play immediately rook takes f3. It's got to be pretty despairing, to be honest, to, have that happen. The idea, of course, if he takes with the rook, it's checkmate, because I go here, he goes back, and then boom, I mate him. He has to take with the pawn. G takes is the only line. And then from here, I feel like I've got a million wins. One idea is just pushing this pawn, opening up. Another idea is pushing this pawn. Another idea is getting the knight in the game. Everything wins. I was also looking at just moving queen e2. The computer likes that. I don't waste too much time trying to be the most perfect that I can be. So I just keep it simple. My good old monkey moves are c3. And the idea, yeah, it's excellent, is I just make another queen and, boom, checkmate. You know what I mean? It's unstoppable, really. He tries one more, little trick, if you will. He plays queen to g5. It's clever. If I somehow completely spasmed and played c2, then he would checkmate me. I would play back, and then he would checkmate me. Not going to fall for that. And I play the most accurate move. I'm proud of myself. I play knight e6, because my knight is now defending my rook, and I'm still attacking his queen. I also can always drop back and take this pawn if he tries to defend it. And that should end the game with queens off the board. He plays queen to h4, and I figure I can probably push the pawn, or let's just get queens off, whatever. I take, fully expecting him to resign from here. I'm threatening to take the queens off, and if we do that, he really has zero chance. He plays on. He plays queen f2. Normally, it's young kids that play to checkmate. It's rare with older people, but I say, okay. I play d4 with the idea that this is unstoppable. It's being pushed by my rook. All right, Coach Kev, this position is over. He plays h3. I play d3. And in this position, move 34, my opponent does resign the game. I thought I played pretty solidly. I was pretty happy. There's not a lot to talk about in this one. I kind of just made it through. I was thrilled I was on the board with a win, which meant I 100% was going to play my last game of the tournament, and I had a chance after my horrible start to break even and actually win some rating points. So stay tuned for the last game to see if I achieve that. All right, final thoughts with the game review. I think I played pretty well in this one, by the way. The big deal was my opponent kind of blundered out of the opening. Yeah, and like a 90% accuracy, pretty good. I played the brilliant, nice. He had one moment where I was not worried, but one moment where I realized I needed to think, find the win, and it was kind of like looking at the spikes. It was pretty easy. And that's nice because classical can be very, very tough. So it's you don't always get like easy games. In fact, you rarely get easy games. And this, no disrespect, you take all opponents seriously, but this one, my friends, was a very thorough game. So I'm gonna save this one let me save this to my collection. Add to game collection. Hartford Open. Coach Kev, nice guy by the way. Nice dude. As far as the games go, this was definitely on the easier side. I'm pretty proud of a 90.4. I definitely wasn't perfect. There were a couple of moves that were kind of mistakey, but overall this was pretty solid. I'm glad I saw the c3 move because it's funny. That's exactly what Mike Brown played against me. All right, I'm going to end this recap. I'm now 1 win, 2 losses, 1 draw. If I win out, good things will happen to me. Peace.